Hello, everyone. Uh, there we go again. Now, we are back, and I believe we are now on episode 190 of the Leon the Great podcast. Wow, it's a major stepping stone, and now it's been, 2 months since I've done my last recording. It's 2 months passes by like in a flash, and I've honestly, it's hard to believe that it's already been 2 months since the time I've last recorded, and oh my goodness, has this been long? Now, without any further ado and without any distractions going through today's podcast, I figured let's go ahead and hit out with this episode because I figured at this point it's just be a very good time to get my thoughts out about new ideas simply because that I figured it'll be a good idea to get things out of the way. And I know that I did say I was going to stay on to Blueberry, but however, it's always good to change services because for one, I've tried Blueberry for about a good month. Now, was it for me? No, but I'll say this: Blueberry was something that I gave it a shot, gave it a chance, and that way at least I know that I know what Blueberry is all about. Nothing that I will say that it's going to tell me, oh, I wasted about 2 months for nothing, yada yada. But Blueberry was something I personally felt that this was going to be a good step to the right direction after 8cast, but now I have switched over to Simplecast just to give that a try. And honestly, though, Simplecast looks very easy to manage and work it out. For me, however, I know that there is a cost to Simplecast, and I will say beyond anything that Simplecast may have its little moments here and there, but it is not perfect. But I will say that too. But I will go over on Simplecast maybe another time, another day. But right now, in this episode, it's not the episode I want to go and talk about podcast services and hosting, which for me, I don't want to go over a long rant on it because I just don't think it's the right way to start off the podcast. But either way, I am back. I am happy to be up and about talking about something a little bit different here on today's episode. And I figured, let's go ahead and give this episode a shot. Try something new to talk about too. Alrighty, now in this topic, I want to just go ahead and talk about especially I'm sure everybody knows already about chat GPT, which it's something that I wanted to go over on the podcast for, I would say, about over 2 months. But of course, as you guys know, that I've had a long hiatus and work has been on a big priority over the podcasts. And again, do apologize, but I do need to work out my schedule better and get things pretty much mainly routine, which really I wanted to get back into podcasting, which something it's hard for me to do while I'm trying to keep a day job. But hey, it's what it is. And also, I've had months that I've gone through stress with, especially with the move. And also, before I get with the topic with Chat GBT, I would like to say, first and foremost, that I'm sure everybody knew that I was moving to Florida, and I'm sure everybody knew what was going on. But however, the deciding factor of all this is that I'm not going to go and move to Florida anymore. I'm done with it. I'm absolutely done 100%. Now, here's why that I declined over it too is because, for one, what stopped me is because of economics, but also the fact of the matter is that with the crazy world of today and the economy happening, I figured, you know what, I don't think I would feel good having to live in Florida. I don't know. I just kind of feel better having to live in Georgia Now, if it's anything, maybe I would just move to a different state other than Florida, but or someplace else. But to Florida or Central Florida in general, it's just not for me. I really don't think simply it's just the right move for me. And I've always said that it would have been good if I worked in the tech industry over there. But let's be honest, though, there's so many industries out there that I could just jump forward and get into a place of my own. But so right now we're just going to be cutting off the introduction track, and we want to go ahead and get started with the main topic, which is Chat GPT, which I'm sure that everybody know what the hell Chat GPT and across the internet. And as you guys know, Chat GPT is pretty much a system or a computer model that helps with education, gives you ideas on lyrics, music, give you tons of information out there, and it's pretty much open for everybody to use. I remember when I first heard it, it was actually early on of early this year, but I know that Chat GPT or OpenAI started around since last year. And here's one thing I can say about ChatGPT to give my full take on ChatGPT. I do think it does come with interesting things that you can use with AI, but I think other parts of it I can say is that it does lead to other controversy of the whole open AI, and as far as educating the public and the masses, especially with K to 12. For those you guys know, K to 12, kindergarten to 12th grade. That's another big topic right there, especially with education and how this is going to serve education for everybody. Now, I'm going to say one thing when it comes to AI is, for one, I actually happen to like AI, if only if it serves people right. And to me, that's how I see AI. Now, it can be a tool for both good and evil. And that's where I find you have to have a middle ground with these things. And now I do have other things I wanted to say about AI, which to me there's going to be some controversy. I mean, a lot of people are going to defend this, or other people are going to not defend this because the power it beholds to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people saying that this will end up changing the way we teach students. Now, and that's another thing right there. In fact, one of the big things is that let me go and talk about the controversy as this is that, for one, this program that's been accused for students to cheat on tests in public schools. Now, that's one thing I'm actually concerned about, and how big Chat GPT is being used, and it is still it's still a food for thought, and how people are still using this to cheat. Though I will say that personally I've used it, and where my take about this is that, for one, Chat GPT, it is a very intelligent system, and I've tried it. I've had some experience with it too. It's like the most improved version of Google that you can ever use. And what I like about ChatGPT is that, let's say if you have an idea for anything, I don't know, you could write on ChatGPT. You could ask ChatGPT for, I don't know, instructions on how to bake a cake, or how to write songs, or you can actually use GPT to create something new, or for an idea. Now, it all comes down to, especially with artificial intelligence, creating ideas. For one, One of the things I can say with ChatGPT, I think one thing it can lead to another one controversy is how people can use this, and especially people that are creating fresh new content around the internet. That's one topic I am thinking to myself: is this a very very big thing where, for one, this can be used for like evil, and can this be a big thing to replace humans? Now, one thing about it I will tell you is that, and personally, I've used it, and no, it's not like a an artificial intelligence website that's going to take over everything. It's not going to be the end all be all. Um, yeah, truthfully too, because for one, more the more I go through ChatGPT, it cannot replace everybody, every single living thing, especially uh, for one thing, I think that it cannot replace is blogging. Bloggers are going to be out blogging everywhere and writing things on their websites all the time. Now, that's not going to go away. Copywriters are not going to go away. Now, one problem I find with ChatGPT, and here's my take on this, is that ChatGPT isn't going to do anything to take over copywriters, or creative artists. It's not going to happen overnight. And if it's not overnight, then I don't even think it's going to take over people's livelihoods whatsoever. Now, that's where I can see you got so many cool things happening with Chat GPT. But again, I do worry about how people are going to use this technology. And look, we got to look at it this way: good or worse, we've got to see this happen, and especially how people are going to go through using ChatGPT. My point about this is, it's not, we can't call this the boogeyman, right? But there's always going to be someone in the background trying to collect tons of data over everybody else. And one thing about ChatGPT is that does solve some things, especially brings a lot of cool creative things, but others, like especially when you're using ChatGPT, it doesn't help you with critical thinking. It's not what it's meant for. Now, if you're trying to do a test, I do think there's a part of me that goes out and says, well, that's something we really need to go through and find ways how to help students out. It's something we're gonna go and face different challenges, especially with the use of ChatGPT. And I do hope one day I would like to make a video about this and post up on YouTube and test out ChatGPT. No, of course, not live, but pre-recorded, and just to show you my own 2 cents about this, because it is quite interesting, and I've used it just a bit, but not heavily. All right, not like what millions of users did. And what I can say with ChatGPT, it's like I said, it's not just perfect, right? It's nothing is foolproof, flawless. Nothing is flawless. There's going to be flaws in any system, right? And there are things people are going to have to embrace, good or bad. And one person, a YouTuber that I follow up on, one thing about this that she's makes a point about how first of all, this thing does not have a soul, and it's not going to replace learning. What is ChatGPT is going to do for you, and I do believe that she's right on that point right there when she says this too. A YouTuber, she runs her own podcast, but I do think that there are still going to be some sentiments and fears about it too, and especially the fear, I can put it this way, is if this use of technology is going to be used for, I don't know, for taking over or help, or using this in a way that's going to be malicious, then okay, I think we're going through a point in our time that it will be misused in so many ways. Now, before I go on reading the MIT technology review, there's one thing I wanted to go over about my youth right there too. So, when I was at the age of middle school and high school age, I remember back then where I would go to using the school's library, and I would just go over and check out what I needed to check out, right, on the websites. However, I think the most annoying part of the school libraries were filters. Now, one thing I can say about their built-in or their filters on the school systems, where for one, back in the days, where filters were really needed, because if you didn't add filters, a lot of school kids will look up unnecessary crap that they shouldn't be looking up on, because all anything like that has to do with games or anything like that should be left at home, and that's where it all comes down to. Now, not to be all the ranty boomer throwing in and saying that, oh, how dare you how dare you say the bad things about ChatGPT? You're now wanting to block it out of school systems. Well, to tell you the truth, part of me is like, well, that is going to be necessary, because ChatGPT is nothing what it seems to be. Because if every student started using ChatGPT, guess what? Then everybody in the school zones will be freaking geniuses. But now that may sound really good, but the other hand is that you're not using your own brain to critically think for yourself. Now, I will, and this is my argument, and I'm sure a lot of people will backlash on this as well, especially with a lot of the tech gurus, or the so-called wannabe geeks out there too. Because I will argue that this can lead to not thinking for your own. Because at the end of the day, ChatGPT is like your friend, and like every child's friend. And if you give this to a child, if you give this to an adult, well, it will be more harmful to the child than the adult on this. Because for one, I think it's going to be used where it's embedded to that child, and you don't have to think twice about how to pass history or how to pass a math test on Friday, right? Because every Thursdays or Fridays, that will be the biggest thing for middle schools and high schoolers, are the tests that comes up, or the quiz that's coming up too. Because every child knows that they don't want to fail on the tests, and that's where I can see why young students can be tempted to use it, and that's the argument right there. So back to that example, where I do think that filters can be very, very necessary for students that really need to go through things and say, okay, well, we definitely need to go through a filter, because it's going to be very important. Like, even like I mentioned, back then we've had filters. I had filters in my schools because there were children back then that were using proxy servers or in the school's computers that they shouldn't be looking what they shouldn't be doing anyways in the first place. And I'm sure that there were times where I wanted to look up things in the internet because I had some free time, and of course the schools kept blocking things that were actually still appropriate, which I didn't think there were nothing wrong with the websites, but they did it anyways. And then back then, of course, it is what it is. But I wanted to go over the article right here, which I think it's a little bit interesting, though, with a website called MIT Technology Review, artificial intelligence blog right here, written by Will Douglas Heaven. Heaven, okay? And now, which in his response on this too, I'm sure there's going to be some bias towards it, but we're going to go over it and read over here. It says in the title, ChatGPT is going to change education, not destroy it. So this was written back on actually today, believe it or not. So now we're going to just read over on this technology review here, which in his response says, the response from schools and university was swift and decisive. Just days after OpenAI dropped ChatGPT in late November 2022, the chatbot was widely denounced as a free essay writing test-taking tool that made it laughably easy to cheat on test exams. Los Angeles Unified, the second largest school district in the United States, immediately blocked access to OpenAI's website from its school's network. Ooh, at least LA is stepping up its game on there too. Which says right there, and others soon joined by January. School districts across the English-speaking world had started banning the software from Washington, New York, Alabama, Virginia in the United States to Queensland and New South Wales in Australia. Several leading universities in the UK, including Imperial College London and the University of Cambridge, issued statements that warned students against using ChatGPT to cheat. While the tool may provide quick and easy answers to questions, it does not build critical thinking and problem-solving skills, which are essential for academic and lifelong success. Gina a spokeswoman for the New York City Department of Education, told the Washington Post in early January, this initial panic from the education sector was understandable. ChatGPT, available to the public via the web app, can answer questions and generate slick, well-structured blocks of text, several thousand words long on almost any topic it is asked about, from string theory to Shakespeare. Each essay it produces is unique, even when it is given the same prompt again, and its authorship is practically impossible to spot. It looked as if ChatGPT would undermine the way we test what students have learned, a cornerstone of education. And I will put it this way. Now, if you like the technology on ChatGPT, let me know on your comments right there, because I do think this is definitely a big take right there. I mean, this is not going to die off overnight. ChatGPT is something that's still going to remain remarkable and fascinating throughout the years ahead, which I do think more and more I do see that happening, because I mean, this is still going to be a conversation piece that can't really just fly off out there too. So initially, it is still a big topic. Now, we're going to go ahead and continue on with the article, which says, but 3 months on, the outlook is a lot less bleak. I spoke to a number of teachers and other educators who are reevaluating what chatbots like ChatGPT mean for how we teach our kids. Far from being a dream machine for cheaters, many teachers now believe ChatGPT could actually help make education better. Advanced chatbots could be used as powerful classroom aids that make lessons more interactive, teach students via literacy, generate personalized lesson plans, save teachers time and admin, and more. Educational tech companies like Duolingo and Quizlet, which makes digital flashcards and practice assessments used by half of all high school students in the U.S., have already generated OpenAI's chatbot into their apps, and OpenAI has worked with educators to put together a fact sheet about ChatGPT's potential impact in schools. The company says it's also consulted educators when it developed a free tool to spot text written by the chatbot through its latest accuracy is limited. Okay, so I want to just go and stop right there too because the article is quite long, but and this is going to be my take, and I wanted to hold on right because for me, this is a long article for me to go through. So I will post that article down on the details below on today's podcast, so you can read it on to yourselves about it, and so that way you can think of what you guys want to think about ChatGPT. Like I said, it's very the technology is interesting. I will be using it just for fun and things like that, but again, it does come to a point that all that information will come from people working in these companies like ChatGPT, which honestly, if the school system opens up a ChatGPT, I do think for one that it will open up a new can of worms that will never ever go back. That's for one, because I mean ChatGPT, I don't know why if you guys use ChatGPT and start using it to pass your law exams, see that'll be no bueno. Personally, I wouldn't want to use it for a college exam. I mean that really breaks the idea of having to critically think of having to pass your own test, like especially passing a bar exam, for instance. I mean, I'm sure not many lawyers are going to use ChatGPT for that too. I just think there's still plenty of smart people that could still critically think without having to use a program like that. I just don't think it's the way to go. And because even if you do want to use ChatGPT, it doesn't have the heart and soul to tell you things that are truthful. And even if it is, let's just say if it is truthful, I'd be careful using technologies like that too, and not having to advance to a point that where it may cause jobs. I don't want that to happen. I mean, I'm sure nobody does. Nobody does, but that's where I think it's gonna be to a point that how far are we trying to push it? How far? Now, going down to the conclusion of the show. Now, I personally don't know what the future holds with ChatGPT. As for someone like me that podcasts and writes about technology, as you guys can tell, and you guys, I'm sure you guys know that where I stand on ChatGPT. There are cool things about it that you can use for ChatGPT, and there are things that you can use it for bad. Like I've said in the very beginning, it all depends on how you use ChatGPT, and do me, and I do look at this as serious enough as a comparator to Google, because honestly, this is gonna change the way people are gonna use search and how you search for information and how you get your information. That's going to be a lot different from, let's say, the traditional ways of using Ask Jeeves, Yahoo, and currently Google in today's world. And that's where I think it's going to change how, like I said, how people educate. And now, will I see Chat GPT being the future of it? I say absolutely yes. Depends on how many people are going to continue using the service. That's a question of its own. Now, I don't know what my crystal ball will tell me. Now, if it survives within 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and if it gets more noticed, then we'll see how that goes. With ChatGPT, because again, it's still a mystery, and I would like to test it out and have it posted up live. Which I think will be interesting, and I'd like to do something funny with it. And I actually done some funny things with ChatGPT actually, where I've asked something silly to a point. It's like, where is the possibility for a future date? And you know what the response I got for ChatGPT is? You should not worry about getting a date. You at all too. You should not. You should be focused on improving yourself and getting a hobby. Which it's funny. It's kind of funny how how it's responded to me, but in a way, it's quite truthful because it almost spoke to me like a human. At the same sense, kind of scary. It is kind of scary. And no, I didn't ask Chat GPT about this, because that's the question I wanted to ask. But just to see what its reaction, what its take on of my question, and wanted to see how Chat GPT was going to respond to that silly question, and which it did, and it is pretty smart. And I'm sure at some point down the road I will use ChatGPT for interesting, funny things, and another stupid thing ideas I'm gonna put out down the ChatGPT just to see how the service goes with their website too. Because if I understand correctly, it's only been around for a very, very, very short amount of time. So it's not like it's been out there for a very long time. Nothing at all. But again, we'll have to see where this goes, because again, the future is changing all the time. We just gotta see where this goes. Well, anyways, it's been a while since I've done my last podcast, and hopefully I can do this much more regularly instead of having you guys wait for 2 months. Because honestly, this is not a bi-monthly show. This is supposed to be a weekly show, and I do apologize for anyone that's wait this long for me to post anything up. Well, anyways, guys, I'm out of here. Leon LeGray signing off. Peace be with you, and have a good night, good day, good morning, wherever you guys are listening to me from. Peace.